Nginx uses a specific pattern for managing multiple site configurations, sites available and sites enabled. Sites available is the library. You create one configuration file per website or application in this directory. Having a file here does not activate it, it's just stored. You might have configs for 3 applications here, with only 2 of them active. Sites enabled is the active set. Nginx only loads configuration files it finds here. The convention is to populate sites enabled with symbolic links, shortcuts, to files in sites available. lns/etc/nginx/sites available/myapp/etc/nginx/sites enabled/myapp creates a symlink. To enable a site, create the config in sites available, create a symlink in sites enabled, test with nginx, reload with system reload nginx. To disable a site without deleting the configuration, remove the symlink from sites enabled. rm/etc/nginx/sites enabled/myapp. The config file in sites available is untouched. You can re-enable it instantly by recreating the symlink. There's also a default site config that came with Nginx's installation /etc/nginx/sites enabled/default. This serves the Welcome to Nginx page. You'll want to remove this symlink when you set up your production configuration to avoid any ambiguity. This pattern keeps your configurations organized, version controllable, and quickly reversible. Let's write a minimal but correct Nginx server block that proxies HTTP traffic to node.js. Create a new file, sudo nano/etc/nginx/sites available/myapp. The configuration, server, listen80, server_name yourdomain.com, location /proxy_pass http://localhost 3000, proxy_http_ version 1.1, proxy_set_header upgrade, proxy_set_header connection upgrade, proxy_set_header host, proxy_cache_bypass. Let me explain each directive. Listen80 tells Nginx to accept connections on port 80. Server_name is your domain. Nginx uses this to route traffic when multiple sites are on the same server. Replace yourdomain.com with your actual domain. Proxy_pass http://localhost 3000 is the core directive. Forward requests to node.js on port 3000. The proxy_set_header directives pass important headers to node.js. Proxy_set_header host tells node.js what domain was requested. Proxy_http_ version 1.1 and the upgrade headers are required for WebSocket support. Proxy_cache_bypass prevents Nginx from serving cached responses when an upgrade header is present. After saving, Nginx to test, then lns/etc/nginx/sites available/myapp/etc/nginx/sites enabled/myapp, then system reload Nginx. The proxy_set_header directives are how Nginx passes information about the original request to your node.js application. Without them, your app loses important context. The most critical header, proxy_set_header x real IP. This passes the client's real IP address to node.js. Without this, every request appears to come from 127.0.0.1, the Nginx server itself. Your node.js app would log 127.0.0.1 for every request, rate limiting based on IP would be useless, and analytics would be meaningless. Proxy_set_header x forwarded for maintains the chain of IP addresses if there are multiple proxies between the client and your server. Proxy_set_header x forwarded proto passes the original protocol whether the request came in over HTTP or HTTPS. This is critical for redirect logic in your app. If you redirect HTTP to HTTPS in Nginx, node.js needs to know the request came in as HTTPS originally, not HTTP. Without x forwarded proto, your app might create incorrect URLs or redirect loops. In node.js with Express, you need to configure the app to trust these proxy headers, appset, trust proxy, 1. Without this, Express ignores x real IP and x forwarded for headers as a security measure. Proxy_set_header host passes the original host header. Without this, your node.js app sees the proxy address as the host instead of the actual domain. The server_name directive is how Nginx distinguishes between multiple sites on the same server. When a request arrives, Nginx reads the host header and matches it against server_name values across all server blocks to determine which block should handle the request. Server_name yourdomain.com, exact match. Only handles requests for yourdomain.com. Server_name yourdomain.com www.yourdomain.com handles both the apex domain and www subdomain in the same block. Server_name star.yourdomain.com, wildcard. Handles any subdomain, api.yourdomain.com, app.yourdomain.com, docs.yourdomain.com. Server_name_, catch-all. Handles any request that doesn't match another server block. Commonly used for a default block that returns 444 or 301. Multiple applications on one server, create separate files in sites available with different server_name values. Nginx matches each incoming request to the right block by the host header. If no server block matches the host header, Nginx uses the first server block by default, or the one marked with default_server, listen 80 default_server. For security, configure your default server to return a 444, connection closed without response. For unexpected hostnames, return 444 in the default server block. This prevents Nginx from serving content to requests targeting your IP address directly without a domain. Nginx has multiple ways to match URL paths in location blocks. Understanding the matching priority is important for writing configs that work correctly. Exact match, location equals /health. Only matches the exact path /health. Most specific, highest priority. Preferential prefix match, location *each. Matches any path starting with *each. The caret modifier stops Nginx from checking regex locations if this matches. Regex match case sensitive, location.php. Matches using a regular expression. Lower priority than exact match. Regex match case insensitive, location JPG, JPEG, PNG, GIF, $. Same as but case insensitive. Prefix match, no modifier location /API. Matches any path starting with /API. Lowest priority among modifiers. For a Node.js API, you typically want one of two approaches. Either proxy everything to Node.js, location / proxy _ pass HTTP / localhost 3000. Or route specific paths to different backends and serve static files directly from disk for others, location /API, proxy _ pass HTTP / localhost 3000, and location /static, root /var /www /myapp. The matching happens in this order: exact match, then preferential prefix, then regex, in order of appearance in config, then prefix. Longest prefix wins when multiple prefixes match. One of Nginx's major advantages over Node.js is its efficiency at serving static files. Images, CSS, JavaScript bundles serve these directly from Nginx. The root directive specifies the base directory from which to serve files. Location /static, root /var /www /myapp means serve files from /var /www /myapp /static /for requests to /static /star. The alias directive maps a URL path to a different file system path. Location /uploads, alias /home /ubuntu /myapp /uploads, serves files from /home /ubuntu /myapp /uploads /for requests to /uploads /star. The difference: root appends the full location path to the directory, while alias replaces the location path. With root /var /www, a request for /static /logo.png looks for /var /www /static /logo.png. With alias /var /www /assets, the same request looks for /var /www /assets /logo.png. For a single page application, React, Vue, Angular, or all routes should return index.html, location /root /var /www /myapp/build, try_files / index.html. The try_files directive tries to find the requested file, then the directory, and falls back to index.html, which is what SPAs need to handle client-side routing. Serve your Node.js API separately, location /API, proxy _ pass HTTP / localhost 3000. This way, /API goes to Node.js and everything else is served as static files. In production, all traffic should use HTTPS. Any request coming in on port 80, HTTP, should be redirected to HTTPS on port 443. Nginx handles this with a simple server block. The correct pattern uses two server blocks. The first listens on port 80 and does nothing but redirect, server, listen 80, server_name yourdomain.com, return 301 https:// The 301 is a permanent redirect. Is the requested hostname? Is the full request path including query string? So a request for http://yourdomain.com/API/users page =2 is redirected to https://yourdomain.com/API/users page =2. The second server block listens on 443 with SSL and handles all the actual serving. Server, listen 443 SSL, server_name yourdomain.com, SSL_certificate /etc/let's encrypt /live/yourdomain.com/fullchain.pem, SSL underscore certificate underscore key slash etc slash let's encrypt slash live slash yourdomain.com slash privkey.pem, location slash proxy underscore pass http forward slash localhost 3000 will cover SSL certificates in module 6. For now, understand the 2-block pattern, 1 block for port 80 that only redirects, 1 block for port 443 that does the actual work. This is the standard pattern for every production HTTPS deployment. A reference of the most commonly used Nginx directives you'll encounter in production configurations. Worker underscore processes auto, nginx.conf. Auto sets worker count to number of CPU cores. Generally correct for production. Client underscore max underscore body underscore size 50M, maximum size of request body. Nginx accepts. Important for file upload endpoints, increase this if users need to upload large files, otherwise Nginx returns 413. Keepel of underscore timeout 65, how long Nginx keeps idle client connections alive. Higher values reduce connection overhead for browsers that make multiple requests. Gzip on, gzip underscore types text slash plain application slash JSON application slash JavaScript text slash CSS, enable gzip compression for text-based responses. Significantly reduces response sizes. Add underscore header X-frame option semi-origin, security header preventing clickjacking. Add underscore header X content type options nosniff, prevents MIME type sniffing. These go in the server block. Proxy underscore read underscore timeout 90, how long Nginx waits for node.js to respond. If your app has slow operations, large file processing, slow database queries, increase this to prevent Nginx returning 504 gateway timeout. Proxy underscore connect underscore timeout 10, how long Nginx waits to connect to the backend. If node.js is down, this determines how quickly Nginx returns a 502 bad gateway. Server underscore tokens off, removes the Nginx version from error pages and the server header. Reduces information disclosed to attackers. Here's the complete workflow for adding a new Nginx site configuration. Step 1. Create the configuration file. Sudo nano / etc / nginx / sites available / myapp. Write your server block configuration. Save and exit. Step 2. Test the configuration immediately. Sudo nginx. If you see any errors, fix them before proceeding. Common errors, missing semicolons, typos in directive names, invalid paths. Step 3. Create the symlink to enable the site. Sudo lns / etc / nginx / sites available / myapp / etc / nginx / sites enabled / myapp. Step 4. Test again to make sure the symlink is correct. Sudo nginx. If this fails, check that the path in the symlink is correct. Step 5. Remove the default site if it's still there. Sudo rm / etc / nginx / sites enabled / default. The default site can interfere with your configuration if you don't have a default underscore server configured. Step 6. Reload Nginx. Sudo system to reload Nginx. Step 7. Verify. Curl http://yourdomain.com/health. If your app has a health endpoint, this should return successfully. Curl http://yourdomain.com. I flag shows headers only. You should see a 200 or the response your app generates. If something is wrong after reload, sudo tailf/var/log/nginx/error.log shows Nginx errors in real time. Sudo journal to Nginx no pager in 50 shows systemd service logs. A practical question about the sites available / sites enabled pattern and proxy headers. You add a new application to / etc / nginx / sites available / new app. You run nginx and it says test successful. But after restarting, the application is not accessible. What's missing? Option A, you need to run Nginx reload instead of restart. Reload and restart both apply the configuration, neither would cause the application to be inaccessible if the other steps were done correctly. Option B, you forgot to create a symlink in sites enabled. This is the correct answer. Creating a file in sites available does not activate it. Nginx only reads configuration from sites enabled. Without the symlink lns / etc / nginx / sites available / new app / etc / nginx / sites enabled / new app, Nginx doesn't see the new configuration. Option C, the node.js app isn't running so Nginx returns 502. This could also cause a failure, but the question implies the configuration is correct but the app is inaccessible, suggesting Nginx isn't routing to the app at all, which is the symlink issue. Option D, you need to run nginx reload instead of systemd reload Nginx. Both are valid ways to reload Nginx. Neither would cause the described problem. The answer is B. Always remember, sites available is where you write, sites enabled is what Nginx reads. The symlink connects them. Commit this pattern to memory, write in sites available, symlink to sites enabled, test, reload.